Hey YouTube viewers and subscribers, today I'm going to be showing you what I call the Odell Beckham Jr. prep fade. So today I'll be using Andes Clippers lineup, the Andes Cordless NVLI, the Andes T Outliner, and the Andes Slimline Pro. Not the Andes Slimline Pro Li, but it's good for detail work. Okay, so I'll be also using two different combs for this haircut, and it's going to be that white comb there, which I use for clip over comb, and the blue comb because he has really coarse hair to continuously comb while I'm fading. Alright, so the guards I'll be using is a single magnetic Andes guards, which is the number 2, the number 1, and the number 0 guards. I'll also be using scissors for the end of the haircut, and the scissors are really helpful when you're getting rid of when you're just doing detailed work. And those are not eyeliner pencils, but those are Barber Magic pencils, which help to enhance the hairline when you're doing the finishing touches to the haircut. And last but not least, I'll be using the curl sponge right here, which has two different sides. There's one that has like a little pokey side, and then there's one that has holes. But I'll be using both sides, which is a very popular tool nowadays when you're doing mohawks. Alright, so let's start the haircut. He's having a good time, and we always have a good time when I cut his hair. I don't know, it's just good to have a connection like that with your client. So the first thing that I do is I use the number 2 guard, and I have the clipper all the way open. And what this is allowing me to do is just to create the space that I need for fading and to create that first initial shape of this haircut. As you can see, I have that white comb, and I'm doing some clipper over comb to remove some more bulk to give me more space. So first things first, I use the Andes T outliner to create that first guideline, and if you can see it, I don't go too far behind his ear, but I do go behind his ear. But when you see Odell Beckham's haircut, he doesn't have a really deep balding behind his ear when he for his haircut. So I just try to create that same effect. This is my version, of course. Everybody has their own version. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have the clipper all the way open with no guard, and I'm going up about a half an inch from that first initial line that I created with that Andes T outliner. And I'm following the exact shape of what I created with that Andes T outliner. Okay, so next I have the number 1 guard, and the clipper is all the way open, and I'm just creating that second guideline. And I'm showing you where I start with that dark spot, and where I start with the clipper all the way open with the number 1 guard, and I create that second guideline. Setting guidelines is really important when you're creating fades, and you get into the habit of following the system, and with practice and repetition you get faster, and really your blends really start to look good. Alright, so as you can see, I pointed it out, and I have the number 0 guard on there now with the clipper all the way closed, and I'm gonna erase, and I'm pointing it out right here. I'm pointing out that you use the corner of the blade to erase guideline. So that guideline that I created from the clipper all the way open to the number 1 all the way open, so in between I have the number 0 guard, which is all the way closed. So next I have the 0 guard still on there, and I'm going to go halfway with the clipper halfway open, and I'm going to go just above what I did with the 0 guard all the way closed. I'm still using the corners. And so last, I'm going to have the 0 guard still on there, and the clipper is all the way open, and I'm just blending or erasing the rest of that guideline, going to the top of that number 1 guard that I created, that second guideline all the way open. Alright, so next, as you can see, I want to erase that first guideline I created with the T outliner, and I have the clipper all the way closed. And if you can see, like, I'm really emphasizing the corner of the blades. You don't flick at, when you're erasing guideline, you don't have to flick at any guidelines. Just use the corner of the blades, and it'll take it out. You just don't want to use the flat part. And then secondly, I have the clipper halfway between, and I'm going just above where I erased that first, and you can see, like, it's starting to really come through. Alright, so last, this is going to blend the clipper all the way open, no guard. It's going to blend into that number 0 guard that I had with the clipper all the way closed. Man, you can really see, like, this fade is really starting to come through. It's starting to take its shape. Okay, so when I'm finished with that, I put the number 1 guard back on, do a little bit of touch-up work, and erase some bulk that I seen. When you go and when you're doing fades, you want to make sure that you're not. If you see something, you get rid of it as soon as possible. Okay, so I have the number 2 guard on, and where I created that second guideline with that number 1 guard all the way open, the number 2 and the number 1. Number 2 close blends into the number 1 all the way open. So you can see, like, it's really starting to look good, viewers. Taking out that excess bulk, and then the clippers halfway in between. I'm going up a little bit more, but I'm doing a scooping motion, and I'm using the corners. Okay, so there's that guideline I see, and I use the number 1. I go back, and I just want to get rid of the line that I see in there. So I'm using the corners again. I'm pointing out, I'm using the corners of the blade to get rid of that line that was right there. And again, I'm doing some touch-up work with the number 0 guard on. Going back, I don't want to have to do extra work that I don't have to. And there's bulk again, so I go back with the white comb and I take out that excess bulk, so at the end of the haircut there won't be all that excess hair when I'm trying to line him up. And then there's some extra stuff I'll do, but that'll be at the end that you'll be able to see. Alright, so I'm going to start with the back of his haircut, and I'm using the Andis Slimline Pro to start the back of his haircut. And when you see me with the I use the middle part of his ear, the lower portion, the middle part of his ear, as a guideline to create that V look, because you want the V to be too high. Like I said before, I see a lot of V's in that Odell Beckham, or those mohawks that are extra high, and it don't need to be extra high like that. And it looks kind of funky when the hair grows back. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm creating that first V look. And I don't press. When I use trimmers, I don't ever press, because I don't want to like nick or scar. I learned that the hard way at the beginning when I started cutting hair. It's like, I thought I had to press, but I don't. If you have good tools that are really good, then you won't have issues with creating scars. Okay, so I have the number 1 guard, and it's on there, and I'm just blending the back of his hair to give it that extra nice look when I do create lines and put V's in the back of his hair. And I keep the guard on. I don't take it off, because I want to do some extra clipper over comb work. And the extra clipper over comb work actually, it alleviates me having to put that number 2 guard back on there. Okay, so what you do to one side, you do to the other. Man, these are tips and stuff. If you've watched people like Chris Bosio and Matt Gifted Hands, man, those guys always say, what you do to one side, you do to the other. And you want to have, you want to make sure that haircut looks the same all the way around. So do the exact same steps, and don't skip steps, because then you skip steps and then you're gonna be doing extra work, and you don't want to do extra work because you missed out on your steps. And when you see me cutting on this side, you can probably see how I created that guideline initially. But when you see me doing work on this side, you can see that I use a lot of the corners of the blade and a lot of clipper over comb work. Using the corner of the blades when you're erasing lines is really key and beneficial when you're creating fades. Okay. So yeah, this is in super speed. I didn't want to make the video extra long, so I sped it up right here. Okay, so he initially had like a taper a while ago. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating an extra V, which was, you can see in the back of his head was light already. So I'm just using, again, just doing some clipper over comb work just to create that look and to give it that nice length for when you're creating the V's. All right, so starting the V's right here, and that's that first V that you see when you see that Odell Beckham Jr. look. You can see there's a part that I skipped, but use both sides when you're creating lines of the clipper, because for every part or every line there's always two sides. You can see this on this part right here. I do flip the clipper right there over, and I'm doing it to that other line right there. I did do it on the bottom lines too. I just cut out that part again just to save some time on the video. Alright, so like I said, I use I'm going to show you how I create the hairline. I use the number 0 guard, and I comb down with the 0 guard with the clipper all the way closed, and then I use both sides just to give it that light space and make it easier to make a hairline. So right here, I'm using the Barber Magic pencil. I don't need this pencil, but for beginners and people that struggle with creating a nice C-cup or anything like that, this isn't a bad tool to use. It really is beneficial. But I use it to give it that enhancement and that ash look that, I don't know, a lot of people like that ash look. So I start the highest point when I do his hairline, or the middle. That's where you're going to learn is you start the middle or the highest point. Because when you start at the highest point, you don't have to, push somebody's hairline back. You just do your best to even it out when you're doing the other side. So this isn't the best view right here, but you can see that that white ash look is on the side of his head from that Barber Magic pencil. And then right here, you can see a little bit of hair in his hairline. He doesn't like you to push his hairline back at all, so like I just use that Barber Magic pencil, and I do what the client asks me to do. So if he's satisfied, I'm satisfied, and if the haircut looks good, that's what's really important. So I spray it with water. We're finishing up here. I spray it with water, and that white stuff is leave-in conditioner. And then I use the curl sponge, and I rotate the curl sponge in one direction all the way around the head in circles. And I do use both sides of the curl sponge. Alright, so I take the scissors, and I use the scissors to get rid of the excess hair, and just to make the haircut really look good. Alright, so if you can see in the back of his head that those lines, I go back over it with the clipper again, but I had to brush it down. You gotta brush it down, and I cut out this part, but I did use the Andis cordless Envy, and I went with I used the number 1 guard on the cordless Envy, and the clipper was all the way closed, and I went back down on the back portion of his head. So right here is, I seen something, and before the client leaves, if you see something, you take care of the client. You don't want the client to leave and then they get into the mirror and be like, man, what is this? So, I took care of the client. I seen something extra. Alright, so right here I'm using that black Barber Magic pencil, and that's that enhancer. It really filled in his hairline. I'm using the brush to brush it in. I lightly used it, and I go back over with the curl spun. Alright, so this is the finishing look of the haircut. I hope you like it. He really liked the haircut, and he's a football player. Hopefully, I don't know what decision he's gonna make, but he'll be going to college next year, so we'll see. But this is a pretty good haircut for this guy, and he likes it. I like it, and I hope that you viewers enjoyed it too. Thank you for watching.